I am back and it is now time to quilt the Bold Blocks quilt. So looking at it, I don't want anything that's going to be too big or too crazy to kind of take away from the cats on here because I do have a lot of cat pantographs. So I'm kind of torn between two that I have that are cat themed but not cat shapes in them. So I've got one that is, it has hearts, and then one little heart has a paw print in it, and the other little heart has a little fish in it. I think it's called like cat treats or something like that. And then the other one is just paw print, so I'd probably scale those down a little bit. So I am thinking that I'm gonna do pink thread just so it doesn't overwhelm. Like if I did this teal color, I feel like it would take away of the softness of the whitish background. And so I think a pink thread is gonna kind of be subtle in there. I could do gray, but there's so much pink, I think it'll be nice and fun. And then for my backing, I've got this leftover from the Synergy quilt that had this in it. And so I made sure to buy enough to do this backing. And so I've got that. I wanna say it's either Everglade or Ultramarine. I'll have to go back and look at that video to see what it is exactly, but it's a nice little match on there. And then while I'm quilting this, I will figure out my binding situation because as you remember from the last video, I didn't have enough of this left over to do a traditional 2.5-inch binding that I like to do. And so I have to assess my options to figure out what I'm gonna do, because obviously it's still no by January right now, so I'm not gonna buy anything. I do have some of the Gotham gray left over from that rainbow colorful, I think it was Crossroads was the quilt name. And so I think that could work because these cats are black here. These ones are gray, so like a nice dark. I thought about doing this, but I don't know how I feel about a light binding after this like nice dark teal here. So while I get this quilting, I'm gonna figure out what I have to bind it with in all my scrappy collection of glory. So I will meet you over my long arm while we load the quilt back. So we've got our cute little cats and hats ready to quilt in. I've got everything all basted. My design is all ready to go. I'm gonna go with this. It's called Ginger Paws. It's a new one that came out on Urban Elements not too long ago. And it's so cute compared to my other paws that are just a little more basic. And then I've got this cotton candy pink thread, which is gonna be so cute. Hopefully it looks really good on the back. I think it will. I think it'll be a nice little pop of color without being just gray and teal. So I'm gonna get this all set and quilted out, and we'll see you shortly after. So here is how super cute the front is turning out with these paw prints. I think the ginger little like loop in there is so fun and just adds a little something extra. And then here it is on the back. So there's that light pink cotton candy on this like aqua-y teal color. Oh, I think it's gonna be so cute. And now it's time to go trim this up. And then we'll talk about the binding because somebody gave me a suggestion for that. I'm so super excited. So thanks to one of you viewers, we have come up with a solution for the binding situation. And so because I like my traditional double fold binding, and this obviously you saw my scrap, I did not have enough. Somebody in the comments suggested a flange binding, and it was perfect. And so that's what I'm gonna do to finish this quilt. So what a flange binding is, it takes 2 pieces of fabric and sews them together, and then you fold it over, and it still makes that double fold, but then you have a pop of little sliver of color that's different from the rest of your binding that kind of acts as a little accent. I did it on my cat vent little calendar quilt last year that looks like this. And so with this one, I'm gonna use the Gotham gray that was left over from the Crossroads quilt and the teal print that was in this one, and I think it's gonna make a good flange binding. So I'm gonna go ahead and go make that, and my making it video is gonna come next week. And so I will go ahead and hop forward and sew this binding on like regular, and then I'll see you again at the review. So before I reveal the full quilt and talk about it more, I just want to give you a little up close of this flanged binding. My top stitching isn't perfect, but that's okay. That's why I matched my thread to it, but I think it definitely helped. And I considered doing some of this because I had a little bit more, but I think the light in there would have been too distracting. So with that darker Gotham gray color that was left over from another quilt, it kind of tied into these darker kitties here and still let the fun turquoise be the pop and tie everything together. So I did a pink thread to match the back as my bobbin, and then a darker thread to match there. So with that, let me give you a full reveal of this quilt and talk about it a little bit more. Checking it off for the first 3-yard quilt of 2023. Bold blocks is super fun, and I just love this little Trixie Cats and Friend fabric on there. And I think it came together really well. It was nice to have a quick sew as kind of the first kickoff for the year, just to get back in the groove of it. It had been a while since I had done a big project sewing, or just any really project sewing. And so this came together so fun, so quick, and so cute. And so I'll give you a little up close on that. And they're just so fun in there. And then there is that flange binding up nice and close, so that you can kind of get another peek at that before. And so I think flange binding is now going to be my answer when I don't have enough to do a double fold, but then I just need a little something extra. So it just came in so good. So kudos to whoever suggested that. And it just turned out, oh, I love it so much. And even that binding looks great with this color in the backing, and there's those paw prints. So let's go outside, hope that the weather finally clears up, or we're gonna be doing a quilt drop in the rain, and moving on to another 3-yard quilt for next week. So let's head outside.